22nd day of March 2016 at 9 a.m. with all three members present in our meeting room number 2, northeast corner, 3rd floor of our courthouse. Please ask you to please rise now and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Just kind of a notice to the public before we get going here. The Board of Supervisors welcomes comments from the public during the time allowed for discussion. You are requested to approach the microphone, state your name for the record, and limit the time used to present your remarks in order that others may be given the opportunity to speak. The normal process on any agenda item is for the chairperson to read the item from the agenda. The board is given an opportunity to comment on the issue and or place a motion on the floor. An opportunity for discussion may be presented, at which time the public may participate, and a roll call vote will follow. First item is the approval or amendment of the agenda that has been presented.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we approve the agenda as printed.
Mr. Chairman, I'd second that.
We got a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Gravenbauer.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
All right, moving on, item number 2. This is always kind of one of our deals that we like to do the best. That's to recognize people. And we're recognizing 2 people with a total of 30 years of working in our Marshall County area. And the first one, Susan Myers. She works in the Assessor's Department, does a great job down there, and we're glad to have her. She's been with the Marshall County for 20 years. And our second one is Marcia Quigley with the Sheriff's Department, and she's been an employee and working for the county for the past 10 years. So congratulations for 30 years of service, divided between Marcia Quigley and Susan Myers. So thank you guys very much. Moving on to the next item, item number 3, Buildings and Grounds Department, masonry repairs to Marshall County Courthouse. Notice of award at 9 a.m. Discussion and possible action to award the bid for Marshall County Courthouse masonry replacement project. Now, last week we opened up the bids. We had 5 companies that placed bids on doing this work. And I don't know, Lucas, if you want to come up and kind of let everybody know exactly where we're at with that. I can do that. We've got our numbers in front of us, and we do appreciate 5 companies being involved and wanting to do some work here.
Yep. So we got 5 bids. Over review, Brian and I, our architect, we looked over the bids, assessed, your alternates and the change order prices. At our pre-bid meeting, we had 3 companies show up: Bi-State Masonry, Western Specialty, and Renaissance Restoration. They asked a lot of good questions that actually helped us in the process quite a bit. But our recommendation today is that we'd like you to go with Bi-State Masonry. We had a phone conference with them last Thursday, went over a lot of different things, answered a lot of questions, and Brian and I are both very confident that they'll do a great job, and we like their price.
We've, you guys did a great job with follow-up as far as checking references. We got 3 great references of companies that had worked with Bi-State prior.
Yep.
And recommendations on both your part is for Bi-State. The one question that I may ask, in just kind of thinking about, and I know they're bidding on some of maybe some hidden topics that they may find. We've got 100-year-old plus stones, maybe 150-year-old
130,
plus, 130-year-old plus stones.
For this bill.
Is there a possibility they'll find something more once they get in there?
There's always that possibility, but looking at our change order prices, they're very competitive with the rest of them. Even if we're looking at 10 to 15% increase, 15% increase is under $5,000. So
And it
we're
has
not.
to be done anyway. So
Yeah, it needs done, and the prices are competitive. So that's another reason why we like to go with them.
Okay.
I like the fact that not only are we doing some restoration here, but on the below grade stuff, we're doing a little bit past that to seal it, to keep problems from cropping up in the future.
Yeah, and that's something we're going to do in our department. I called a couple distributors and to get prices on that, and that's something that I'll use our guys to do that for. Anything that I feel's our department, my department, is capable of doing, I'd like to do, because it's just money we can save. We're also gonna backfill in with some gravel and tile along that and run it out to the west side of the courthouse to keep some of the moisture away to help freeze thaw in the future.
And I think a point too, their proposed start date is April 1.
Yeah.
And completion to be July 1.
July 1, yep.
So,
There is a 3 to 4 week lead time on the stone, so if we can get it ordered early April, we're looking at a May start, so that's great.
okay.
Okay, and it would be nice to get it all out of this budget year and to also finish up on everything that we need to spend on the bonds that we took out.
Yeah, we'll need to finish it before the end of
Yeah,
fiscal year. for
yeah,
sure.
I have the bond numbers, we're gonna be right close there. There'll be some concrete work that needs done afterwards. There's a chunk of sidewalk we need to take out on the north side so they can get a big stone in. And then a chunk where we will run the tile that's already a piece of broken concrete anyways that needs replaced, so
Okay.
that'll help with that.
Because we do have that 18-month window on that.
Yep.
that We gotta
Yep.
get it done
Yeah,
by
it'll
then.
be done before June 30th.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
you're welcome.
Well, at this point, I'd entertain a motion on this project.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'd move to award the bid to Bi-State Masonry Incorporated for the amount of $32,318 for courthouse masonry replacement, and authorize the chairman to sign the contract.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any public discussion? Roll call, please.
Gravenbauer.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Motion passed, and thanks to Brian, your staff, and Lucas for getting involved with this.
Get them to work.
Yeah, get them to work. All right, moving on to our next item, our consent agenda. And this will be approval of the minutes from the regular session of March 8th, 2016. Number 5, accept an annual manure management plan update from McDonald Hogg LLC, Bangor Finishers ID number 59034. This is an annual update report received and placed on file with no changes. Item number 6, accept construction permit application form for confinement feeding operation. Ryan Ritland, Providence 36, South 36, Township 86, Range 20, Hardin County, Iowa. This operation is located in Hardin County, and we place manure in Marshall County, Iowa. Number 7 is an approved public event held on county property. Farst Foundation, this is FARST, which is Full Tilt Riders, MC, and Phi Beta Sigma. Request permission to use the courthouse grounds and electricity to host an event, Walk a Mile in Her Shoes, on Saturday, May 7th, 2016, from 4 to 7. The walk will begin at the end of the courthouse. Proceeds from sponsored walkers in the event will benefit a Salt Care Center extending shelter and support access, serving Boone, Greene, Marshall, Story, and Tama counties. A bike show will be held from 4 to 6 p.m., raising money for multiple sclerosis. And I'll just stop there and explain this. We did this last year, and it was started out as a small event, and one of our local sheriff deputies is kind of Nemo. He runs this, and they're going to add a bike show, which was going to be held on the sidewalk. They're going to bring motorcycles, and I've talked with Chief Tupper in the city of Marshalltown, and Lucas will be involved in this also, about putting the bicycles out on the front sidewalk, out in front.
Is it just for a small time event, you know, start and finish, or are the bikes going to be there for a period of time?
It's from 4 to 7. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, and there again, the city has been notified, and everything looks good, and Lucas doesn't see a problem with it, so just a little insight on that one. And the final item on the consent agenda is approval of claims as audited, and authorize the county auditor and recorder to issue payment of same. The list of claims paid at this meeting will be included with all claims paid for the month of March. The March list of claims will be part of the first meeting in April. I will entertain a motion on our consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we approve the consent agenda as printed.
A motion
Mr. Chairman, I second that.
and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Gravenbauer.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Thompson, please.
Yes.
All right, item number 9, approve personnel action. This is a hire auditor and recorder assistant. Auditor and recorder's office is full-time at a range of $14 to $15 an hour, effective on or after March 22nd, 2016. And Deanne, any comments you would like to make to this?
Yes, this is just a replacement of a previous employee. And I'm in the process of actually going through interviews and working with individuals and looking for our person. But as to what the pay range is, I'm not sure, and I'm not sure of what the name of the person is yet. So, but I wanted to get it on here so I can move forward as soon as I do find that person. Once I do, I will go ahead and hire them, but then I'll also put it back onto the board.
Okay.
And so you guys will see the name and actually what the pay is going to be for that
And this gives
individual.
you the right to go ahead and...
This just gives me the right to go ahead and move along and not be held up for a little bit, so.
Okay.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
staying within your budget, of course.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the personnel hire for the auditor recorder assistant.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that.
All right, a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Public, or any of us? All right, roll call, please.
Gravenbauer.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
All right, moving on to item number 10, Alliant Energy Project update. And it's always a highly anticipated, much awaited Ken Vincent to make his
A hush
appearance
fall-
felt.
A hush falls over the
Yeah,
crowd.
the hush is over the crowd.
I think this might be easier for you.
Okay, thank you.
Can you give us a brief update on the progress of the new Alliant Energy plan? If you've been out there, my goodness, that is just going and growing, isn't it?
Yeah, by the day, it's really coming along quite well. So, I'd like to just give you some general comments and maybe some statistics about what's going on out there, number of employees, the percentage that it's done, and so forth. Then I have a few slides, or excuse me, a few photos that I've taken recently, and then some aerial photos that our good friend Gary Brandenburg has taken for us. So. The project is going very well. It is approximately 70% complete. That's just an approximate number. You know, I hate to be quoted on that. Probably shouldn't mention statistics, but the contractors, all the 3 major subcontractors, are running 6 10-hour days and 2 shifts. There are about 700, well, about 800 craft workers. The people that actually do the work, and then there are about 100 of people like me that don't do much out there, so, and the management and the supervisory staff. About 700 craft workers are on the day shift, and about 100 are on the night shift. The contractor anticipates adding more people on the night shift. These would be in addition to the ones that are already on the night shift. So that's going pretty well. It's probably going to reach its peak in employment in the next 3 to 4 months, and then start ramping down probably in September. They anticipate that the mechanical completion will be this fall, sometime this fall, and then the actual going on the grid or commissioning of the plant would take place sometime in the spring of 2017. So it's pretty much on schedule. They've worked about 1.3 million labor hours to date. Another interesting statistic is the labor ratio of travelers, people that come from outside of Marshalltown to the plant daily to work versus those that are living here is about 60-40, 60 people traveling in and 40% that are living at least in the general area or in Marshalltown. They're all have to funnel, all of those people have to funnel through the entrance to the plant, which is at 18th Avenue and Nevada Street. And I know we've had some issues. We've had some people in the public that in the community that are upset about it, but you know, we've got to get the people in and out, and that's where they have to come in and out of. We have had great cooperation with the police department and the city. They put the traffic signal in for us. They've done some speed limit things. We're anticipating some other things that they'll do to help make it safer for not only the workers, but the public, especially the public. At 6:30 in the morning is usually when they start working, and then they get off about 5:30. So those are really high usage time frames, and you know, if people can avoid that, please do. But if you have to be there, just be cognizant that it is a lot of people coming in and going out.
But Ken, I remember Chief Tupper at the council meeting the other night made the comment that there has not really been any incidents down there. I mean,
Yeah.
people are really watching what they're doing, except that very first day.
The first day.
Yeah, and I mean, I thought he really kind of put it to rest, that it is not one of it's not one of our intersections of concern as far as accidents go. So-
Well, we hope it
but
continues to
but
be that
yeah,
way.
Exactly.
We have had, you know, at least a letter to the editor, legitimate concerns. And following that, the contractors did talk with their employees and said, look, this is, you know, if you're driving erratically, this has to stop because you're guests here in this community. So you need to clean up your driving. So, and it has improved, we think. I hope I don't regret saying that, but hope it is better. Safety remains to be very good. There are no serious injuries that they've had to date, and mostly they've been first aid cases. On the 23rd of February, they had a complete stand down, and they had what's called a zero harm day. Had all the employees come in and had a big tent set up. They fed them. They had a motivational speaker, and safety seems to be improved since they've had that. So they're more focused on getting home at night. Let's see, as far as the money that has been spent, about $1 million was spent in the month of February locally by the contractors and their subcontractors on local vendors and suppliers. And then for the total overall project, about $18 million. Now those figures don't necessarily include the money that's spent by people on restaurants, grocery stores, gas stations, retail places, motels. So, you know, that's also being spent in this area as well. I did mention that the mechanical completion is scheduled for the fall of 2016, with the plant going commercial sometime in the spring of 2007. So I do have a few pictures. These are aerial photos that were taken by Gary Brandenburg back on the 20th of February. So they're a month old, they're a little dated, and a lot more has been accomplished as far as the construction is concerned since that time. This just gives you a general overview of the area. Notice up at the top, kind of in the central part, right in there, that's the parking lot. This was taken on a Saturday. So they don't, not everybody works on Saturday, but most people do. But the parking lot wasn't nearly as full as it usually is. It's usually full to overflowing. And here's a close-up of what it still kind of looks like that, but a lot more siding has been put on, a lot more structural steel has been placed.
Does Gary have to get some kind of a safety clearance?
Pardon?
Does Gary have to have any kind of clearance to go over that area?
No.
Security-wise?
No,
I know there's
it's-
ground security, but I just wanted
Well,
to.
whatever the FAA rules are, but it's free space. This is a more current picture. That's kind of what it looks like right now. That was taken last week. The area between those two stacks will all be filled in with structural steel and siding. Here's, you can see where the administration building is down below, where the control room is, and also the water treatment area are all in that area. As you can see, the tanks all have lids on them now, or tops. And this is just a picture of them putting the roof and insulation on the admin water treatment area. And again, there's the tanks. Three different things. One is for wastewater, one is for demineralized water, and one is for fire protection water. I thought I'd take a picture of, this is the high pressure, intermediate pressure steam turbine. And that's kind of what it looks like. Probably, once it's in place, nobody will be able to see it again, at least from the public. And this is a picture of the rotor that will go inside of the low-pressure steam turbine. Very highly precision-made piece of equipment. This is a picture of the cooling tower. It was taken probably, 6 weeks, 2 months ago. Instead of treated wood, as most cooling towers in the past have been, this is fiberglass and plastic. So it's a lot different construction and easier to maintain. There's what it looks like as of last week. That's facing west. You can see the plant in the background. Here's another picture of the cooling tower. And then these are pictures of the contractor putting in the last parts of the high voltage lines, power lines that go into the plant. They're making connections there that go into the transformers and eventually into the GSUs. And I took these pictures. There's a small warehouse that the contractor has, and it's full of Fisher Emerson product. I know there's been some concern that maybe they're not using local products, and this is proof that they are. This was full of box after box, valve after valve, whatever they're. The DCS system, which is the control system for the plant, is all Fisher Emerson product. So hopefully that will satisfy some people. And that's just a photo of a sunrise, but I thought it was kind of interesting to take it. So,
Who took that?
guy by the name of Tim Schugert. Wasn't me, can't claim that.
Well,
I wasn't up that early, so you know. Right.
You could say it's a sunset
Right.
too.
Right.
I mean,
Have time for questions if anybody has any.
I asked one time on that fire protection water, is that treated some way to keep it from freezing so that it's always available?
It's insulated. The tanks are insulated, and there are heating cores in there.
Okay, so it's
So
heated.
it's just enough to keep it from freezing. It's not it's not heated to room temperature or anything like that, but
Yeah, sure,
yeah, they won't freeze.
I'm just curious.
one of the questions that goes around the coffee table is, what's gonna happen to the old Sutherland plant? And maybe you've told us before, I think you have, but is that gonna be tore down?
I don't know the answer to that, but it will probably be decommissioned at some point. They have commitments for the facility with the system operator. It's called MISO, Mid-Continent Independent Service Operator, for having that run for a certain period of time. I don't know what those contracts are, but at the end of that, it's possible that it will be decommissioned. Now, there are 3 existing small combustion turbines that are there that are basically separate from the old coal-fired plant. Those are being converted as we speak to natural gas from oil. So those will be kept, and they'll be kept for peaking purposes. So there's part of the plant that will be remaining.
Anybody else got any questions? Ken, thank you as always. Great job. Okay, we'll move on to item number 11. This is resolution 2016-0014. This is a 2015 homestead and military service tax exemption pursuant to Iowa Code 425.3, 425.8.3, 426.8.14, and 426C.6, parentheses 1, the Marshall County Board of Supervisors have received the homestead tax credit claims and military service tax exemption from the county auditor for the taxes payable for 2016 and 17. Basically, it's saying further resolved that the chairman of the board is hereby authorized to sign notices of disallowance to claimants whose applications for homestead tax credits and military service tax credits have been disallowed. I don't know if any comments?
Yeah, I'd like to mention a couple of things. This is something that we do on a yearly basis. The one thing that's missing is the family farm as well as the business property tax credit. Those are still being handled in our offices and being double checked, and I didn't want to put them on here without having it 100%. So we'll probably have another resolution with those two, but just wanted to mention that this is something that we do every year, and the letters will be sent out and get at least this coming back if there's any issues and such.
Okay. I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we adopt resolution number 2016-0014, which is the 2015 Homestead Military Service exemptions.
Mr. Chairman, I'd second that.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Gravenbauer.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Moving on to item number 12, this is Child Abuse Proclamation, Child Abuse Prevention Month Proclamation, Resolution number 2016-0015. And this is a proclamation that we actually adopt every year at this time, just for the awareness of child abuse and neglect and its prevention within the community. And it's also be involved in supporting parents to raise their children in a safe, nurturing society. Therefore, we, the Marshall County Board of Supervisors, do hereby proclaim April as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Marshall County, Iowa, and urge all citizens, community agencies, religious organizations, medical facilities, and businesses to increase their participation in efforts to prevent child abuse and neglect, thereby strengthening the communities in which we live. And I would entertain a motion on this proclamation.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to adopt the resolution 2016-0015, Child Abuse Prevention Month.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All right. Okay.
And we do have our event here on April 1st.
And April 1st, what we do there, as Lori Gowdy is saying, that we will have, usually that's on a Friday, I think. And we invite community leaders to come to the courthouse, and is that when we put the flags out too?
The pinwheels.
A pinwheel, that's right. I got two of them on my desk, so you run out. But I've got two of them, those pinwheels, and that just shows the community and how we come together to try to stop this, and we appreciate all you guys do for that. So I'll entertain a motion, or we got the motion. Roll call, please.
Gravenbauer.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Keep me in line, David. I'm kind of coasting off. All right, item number 13, request for the use of the courthouse grounds. Luna has requested the use of the courthouse grounds for a shoe visual project for Sexual Assault Awareness Month. This will be on April 4th through April 8th. One pair of shoes for each victim of a reported sexual assault in 2015 in Marshallton, Iowa. They will be displayed on the courthouse grounds. We'll kind of open this up for discussion.
I'm from Luna, so I just.
Why don't you go up to the microphone and see if anybody's got any questions.
So what we are requesting is that we be allowed to put shoes to visualize the victims of Marshalltown. We decided to use Marshalltown because we're a small entity. And it would be able to be easier maintained in that form. We would check that daily, or we could remove it daily and bring it back on a daily basis, or we could leave it for the remainder of the week. That would depend on what you guys are comfortable with.
What kind of display is it?
So what we would do is put, for each individual, there were in the year of 2015, there were 17 adult female victims, 1 adult male victim, 19 minor female victims, and 12 minor male victims. So we put a pair of shoes to represent each one of the victims in the county. Not in the county, I'm sorry, in the city. And then we would put up, it looks like she had said mention putting up, if it was okay, some like garage sale type signs just to put some information about Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So that's why we said we can leave it there for the remainder of the time, or we could remove it on a daily basis.
Aren't you worried that maybe they'll be stolen at night or something?
Well, we're not worried about that because we do have extra shoes, and once we are finished with those shoes, hoping it doesn't rain during the month, they would be donated to the Salvation Army and, you know, other places that could use those.
Where were you planning on putting this?
We would like to do it possibly on the sidewalk. If that doesn't work, then we could put it on the grounds. The reason for saying the sidewalk is it was thought that we could maybe put, for each 2 victims that state that they have been a victim, there are 8 victims that don't report. So it would be potential that we could put chalk around the 2 pairs of shoes to represent those people who are in the shadows.
Have you done this in other areas?
They have done this in other areas, and it has been very well received, and the visual is very positive to the community.
My concern, I guess, would be leaving it overnight.
Mhm.
I believe that there would be difficulty with people taking it.
Mhm.
And then throwing them down the street someplace.
Mhm.
You know,
And-
that's, you don't want that type of negative thing.
And that is true, and that's why we discussed, you know, we could leave it up the whole time, or we could potentially, when we come in the morning, set it up, and when we leave in the afternoon, we are open from 8:30 to 4:30, and we could leave it there during that time. We are located across the street, so it wouldn't be very difficult to set it up and put it down.
I would prefer that you would pick it up.
Okay, that would,
I really think that would be best.
I guess the question I got is, if you got a loose pair of shoes on the ground, you know, we've got to look at the safety aspect of it also. And we don't want somebody tripping over
Trip and fall, yeah.
the shoes.
I'd prefer if it was on the grass,
on the grass, okay, that's
not where
perfectly fine.
people normally walk,
Yeah.
especially if it's not gonna be monitored and it's gonna be an all-day thing.
Then you could almost, you know, make it, you know, maybe a loop around it or something. I mean, just.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think maybe our interest would be to keep it off the sidewalk so there is
Okay.
no safety liability issue.
That's perfectly understandable. We just didn't know where you would prefer for us to have it
Yeah.
without being, you know, so.
I think and I guess if we vote on this, get with Lucas
Okay.
on the day you're gonna do it and have him and his staff kinda.
Okay.
Lucas, with the dates on April 4th to the 8th, I doubt we're gonna have any grounds,
Just showed us the first day, we could,
Looking at my calendar, I don't have anything.
nothing going on?
in there.
Okay, so nobody's gonna be doing any work in the yard or anything?
Okay, I was gonna
Okay.
ask
As of
you,
now, no.
Once they start April 1st on the truck program, but then again, that's gonna be.
What's your name?
leeway.
Monica
Yeah.
Dirks.
okay,
I have no problem with
And I'm I am the domestic violence sexual assault advocate. The
Okay.
program coordinator was not able to
yeah,
make it.
when you came up, I missed your name.
I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
So we'll, you know, we'll put this to a vote, and I
Okay.
don't think there's a problem, but you check with
Okay.
Lucas, cause he's the one and if you damage his grass, he's gonna be the one that will yell at you. I'd entertain a motion on this item.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we approve the request from Luna for the use of the courthouse grounds for a shoe visual project for Sexual Assault Awareness Month, April 4th through April 8th, 2016.
Would you want to put in the motion where this is going to, or we've just already had our
I think-
agreement, you think?
I think we already
Okay.
did that, but if
Okay.
you'd prefer I put it in the motion,
Why
I'll
don't
be
you?
happy
Why
to.
don't you just?
And that this be taken down on a nightly basis and put back up, and that it be on the grass, not on the sidewalk.
Mr. Chairman, I would second.
Have we got a motion and a second? Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Just a second.
Oh, excuse me.
Did you get all
Now I'm
that?
ahead of you now. Okay.
Yes. Okay, Gravenbauer.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
All right, moving on to item 14, secondary road department truck purchase. Discussion and possible action to approve the purchase of a 2016 Dodge Ram 2500 truck from Ken Wise of Marshalltown. The purchase price is $30,115 for secondary road use. And Engineer Paul Geilenfeld, or Chuck, if you want to come. Oh, no, he's got a comment.
This is a replacement truck for our assistant maintenance superintendent, and it's more of what I spoke about the last time when we take some of the trucks that get high mileage, and we're taking that truck down to service that doesn't get as many miles but still gets a lot of use, and replaces Jim's. This will be paid out of the current equipment budget, and this will be the last equipment purchase until after July 1st.
We're gonna hold you to that.
There's no money left. So. I think there might be $2,500 in there or something.
No, you said the last.
He said the last.
That's
yeah.
it.
It's good to hear that we put it out for bid and we got a local
And we
dealer.
did get some multiple prices, and Ken Wise was our
Good.
best quote. So this will be ordered. This is not in their inventory, but we should have no trouble getting it by the end of June.
Okay.
And I'd just like it noted that when we do these purchases, all of the local dealers do get an opportunity on every one of these purchases. Sometimes they choose not to participate, or that their bid isn't the winning bid. But we do work very hard to keep everything local, shop local. The job you save could be your own.
Okay, back to our budget thing here. Ken Wise is fully aware that this has to be paid for in June.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and they didn't think that getting it in the
No
next,
problem. Okay.
it's like, I don't know if it was 4 weeks or something, they thought they could have it, but it shouldn't even be close.
Okay, so they're not making it, they're finding it.
Yeah.
No, it sounded like they were gonna order it. I don't know if that.
Okay, okay. Mr. Chairman, I would approve the purchase of a 2016 Dodge Ram 2500 truck from Ken Wise of Marshalltown, Iowa, for the purchase price of $30,115.
We got a
Mr.
motion,
Chair.
need a second?
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Gravenbauer.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
All right, as long as we got you up there, item number 15, resolution 2016-0016, secondary road project funding agreement with the DOT. I'll let you explain where it's at. And
This is similar to past federal funding agreements, and it's just an outline of what we agree to do to make use of our federal bridge funds. The biggest difference on this one is that this is an agreement that the city of Marshalltown also approved this same agreement a week ago, last Monday, and they have signed it, and so I've actually got their originals so that we can sign the same originals, and I'll get them back to the DOT, and then we'll get an original copy back. But it really just lays out the things that we understand as far as the federal rules of the things that we have to do to make use of federal funds on a construction project.
this is interesting, this process just keeps rolling and rolling and rolling, don't it? I mean,
There's one more agreement yet. I gotta get the 28E done too, so we'll have, and that'll just be between Marshall County and Marshalltown.
Marshalltown.
Just to agree who does what with the project.
But we're getting really close.
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
3 years later, we're getting closer.
I'm saying
Oh,
two.
we've been working on this longer than 3 years.
Yeah, but you think we can start next year?
We can start in 2017 construction if we can get a letting that is gonna be March or April. Now, I really wanna get this thing let in March. I wanna get it let before our available contractors get other work lined up. Because they'll be bidding, if I could get it in this coming December, I would, but there's quite a few hoops we've gotta jump to get that letting process done, so.
I bet we're gonna get pretty good response on this because it's a two-bridge project.
It's large, and it'll be well advertised through
Yep.
the DOT letting process, so they'll know it's out there.
For the purpose of people in the community understanding, the bid letting is done through the DOT.
Right, in Ames.
Amazing. All right,
Okay.
I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we adopt resolution number 2016-0016, an agreement between Marshall County, Iowa and the city of Marshalltown, Iowa, and the DOT, project number BRS-4797, 623-60-64 Iowa DOT Agreement Number 1-16-HBP-U-004 and authorizing the chairman to sign the agreements.
Mr. Chairman, I would second that.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Ravenbauer,
Yes.
Patton,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Good job.
Thanks.
All right, item number 16, this is public forum. This is time set aside for public to make comments on topics of county business other than those listed on this agenda. No action will be taken on any of these topics brought up in the public forum. Anybody from the public want a forum? Want to speak? James, you've been kind of hiding back there.
How about those cyclones? And badgers.
Moving on to the adjournment. Number 17, the next regular session is scheduled for April 5th, 2016 at 9 a.m. All business to be acted upon at that session should be submitted to the county auditor and recorder's office or the Board of Supervisors office by Thursday, March 31st, 2016 at 1 p.m. There be no further business to come before the board. We are adjourned at 9:41.